Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's most senior governmental agency sought to cover up COVID-related vaccine reactions through behaviorally sound messaging that would downplay the injuries to ensure that nothing would compromise the safe and effective campaign. And we have the memo to prove it. Tamara Ugolini here with Rebel News to show you the most senior central agency of the federal government. That's the one tasked with governmental vision implementation, goals, and decisions, had private internal communication that stipulated the need for winning communications strategies to ensure COVID-19 vaccine confidence was high in Canada. Blacklock's reporter detailed the Access to Information request that revealed a Privy Council Office memo from May of 2021 titled Testing Behaviorally Informed Messaging in Response to Severe Adverse Events Following Immunization. It reads, "News reports of adverse events following immunization and the government's response to them have a strong potential to influence public confidence in vaccines and their safety. The current study proactively tested the impact of various messaging strategies delivered through different messengers in response to a hypothetical AEFI, that's adverse event following immunization, incident. Its intent was to help prepare the government for response to potential AEFIs by identifying winning communications strategies to maximize public confidence in the government's COVID regulatory regime." Yes, their own memo literally uses that word. They want to maximize public confidence in the safety of the COVID vaccine and further drive vaccination intentions. Now, here at Rebel News, we want to see the results of that study, so we've filed an additional Access to Information request to obtain them. If you believe that determining the massive behavioral shaping campaign launched on Canadians by their own government is of great public interest, then you can chip in a few dollars to help us continue in this effort at rebelinvestigates.com. Because the memo went on to suggest that communication around adverse events and deaths following the novel COVID-19 injections needed to be framed in such a way as to convey positive depictions of injury or death, if you can believe that our own government said that. In fact, the Government of Canada has an entire webpage dedicated to this, titled Communicating Effectively About Immunization, where they urge doctors to frame side effects as rare by saying a vaccine is 99% safe, as opposed to there's a 1% chance of side effects. The Privy Council memo was issued a mere 5 months after Health Canada authorized the novel COVID-19 biologics under emergency use legislation, with a rolling submission stipulation so that safety data could literally roll in real time, all while Procurement Minister Anita Anand signed secret government contracts with the vaccine manufacturers that likely waived liability for a rushed-to-market product. This was the same month that emergency room physician Patrick Phillips joined me to detail how all 5 of his COVID-19 adverse events reports were rejected by his local medical officer of health due to arbitrary criteria, effectively filtering potentially valid reactions from the system completely. The same bureaucracy was using feelings of parental approval, not facts or scientific evidence. Health Canada's review of COVID-19 vaccines and therapeutic products is based on qualitative risk-benefit calculation. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization, that's NACI, reviewed available evidence on the burden of illness in this population and vaccine acceptability of parents and guardians to begin the push to vaccinate those under the age of 18, a move that would eventually ricochet down to all age groups aged 6 months and up halfway through 2022. Yet by that point, there was nearly a year's worth of COVID vaccine injury reports piling up, beginning with Kevin Street, who suffered debilitating neurological effects after his AstraZeneca shot, with some provinces even moving to halt the use of this particular injection after reports of blood clots. This was all happening at the exact same time that Trudeau's most senior governmental agency sought out clear messaging intentions to downplay all of these reactions to ensure the public continued to do their part and line up in droves for their bought and paid revolving door of shots. The government used industrial-strength mind control techniques on its own population to gain compliance with public health measures, as discussed with author and former cult member Nathan Segal in a report from July 2022. Canada's flip-flopping Chief Medical Officer of Health and conflicted World Health Organization member, Dr. Theresa Tam, discussed nudges and rewards at a WHO roundtable titled Behavioral Science for Better Health, where bureaucrats detailed the ways in which they influence populations to behave and comply.
Coming back to evaluation and science, I think it's important when applications are being stood up that there is an actual integrated evaluation and research aspect to them. Otherwise, you have no idea whether they work or they don't work. So maybe government can at least play a role in that space. We've certainly seen a growth of these applications, and we have our own applications too that nudges people or reward them for healthy behaviors or giving them badges or these kind of rewards. And I don't see people doing that research as much as we would like. So maybe I'll turn it back to chief science officers to see if they can help. But I think regulation of social media platforms is the one that governments have been really engaged in, and that's quite a massive piece of space of regulation that is still undergoing debate.
As per a current snapshot from the newly formed tens of millions of dollars endeavor called the Vaccine Injury Support Program, or VISP, developed 2 months after the Privy Council Office detailed this memo and the need for winning vaccine messaging. To date, there have been 1,299 claims of COVID-related vaccine reactions reported to this system from June 1st, 2021 to December 1st, 2022. And there are a massive amount of hoops and paperwork to jump through just to get into this reporting system. It's taxing, if not impossible, on those suffering from neurological impairments, as detailed by Meredith Klitsky in a more recent interview in April of this year, 2023.
People's health is first and foremost. But for the medical officers of health, for our health units, you need to stop and you need to look at this whole process, and you need to assess this going forward, and you need to start addressing the people that are injured, and there are vast numbers of people who are injured. I have paperwork. I was sent a link, and it is a stack. I haven't found the end of this blog or this communication, and it's all medical professionals discussing their own injuries, and they can't even get reports filed. You have to deal with this. You have to address this. People need help. You need to step up. You gave the messaging. Now it's time.
To be expected then, the Medical Review Board of VISP has only approved 50 of those 1,299 claims. As shown by Rebel News' previous access to information requests, the Public Health Agency of Canada's internal policy framework for the VISP program only expected to process 400 vaccine injury claims per year, a number that was capped 6 months, halfway into the program. The taxpayer-funded program is being run by a third-party consulting firm, Raymond Shabbat Grant Thornton. The budgeted cost to be roughly $32.3 million over 5 fiscal years. How much of this goes to the firm and administration versus how much is paid out to the actual injured people is mostly blacked out. As it stands now, VISP has paid out a total of nearly $2.8 million in compensation for the mere 1.5 years that the program has run. And as per Health Canada's own reporting system, again, which has questionable reliability, as we know that pharmaceutical adverse events tend to be severely underreported, as of May 26th, 2023, a total of 442 reports with an outcome of death were reported following this vaccination. All of that for the rushed-to-market injections made possible through secret contracts and sold to the public as undoubtedly safe and effective. As Canadians fund both public and private inquiries into the conduct of this alleged open and transparent government, the Liberals, it sounds like we should perhaps add an inquiry into this potential cover-up of injury. Who is liable and what role pharmaceutical interference played in Canada's COVID-19 response. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Reports like this may be few and far between once Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's sweeping internet regulation like Bill C-11 comes to fruition. If you would like to know how we are fighting back and how you can help support Rebel News to continue to bring you critical, truth-to-power speaking journalism and reports, then please head over to stopc11.com where you can find out more. At that website, you can also chip in a few dollars if you're able to show us just how much you appreciate our work. And while you're there, you can also sign our petition. That's stopc11.com.